one station making history every day.
Chicago, Chicago.
Now, John Kass.
89 WKS. In constant sorrow all through his day. I am a man of constant sorrow.
Good morning, Chicago. I'm actually not sorrowful. My name is John Kass. With me is Lauren Cohn. You're on 89 WLS. We're taking your calls 591-8900. As you know, there's a debate about violence in Chicago. The police union was on with us yesterday saying we need more cops. And today, with the boys, Bruce and Dan, this morning, Superintendent McCarthy said they don't need more cops.
Right.
And kids are getting killed in the street every day. But you know who really knows about this issue is Theo Hardiman, Executive Director of the Ceasefire Illinois. This is a group that deals with gang members and uses ex-offenders to reach out to them. Mr. Hardiman, we have you on the line, I'm told.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here with you.
I know that you might have to go. You're waiting for a flight, but quickly, before you go, what is going on out there, Mr. Hardiman? Who's right, McCarthy or the police union?
Well, this is what's going on right now in the city of Chicago. It's just a matter of the police cannot handle all these issues of violence alone. You cannot arrest your way out of this problem. The young guys on the streets now are shooting for all kinds of petty reasons, and there's a lot of work that has to be done on the front end. You have to have boots on the ground to intercept, like whispers, so to speak, in order to prevent the next shooting. The ceasefire violence interrupters in the year 2012 mediated 745 conflicts that could have turned deadly. But you have to have enough people out there that can just meet. So you have 600 different gang factions in Chicago, so it's hard to reach everybody, all the time. But that's something that's going on. So the more help, the better in all different areas. One thing we have to do a better job of is collaborating. CPD, ceasefire, all the community groups out there. We just have to work harder because whatever CPD cannot catch, ceasefire should be able to catch. So that's what I believe that we need to really work on.
In my column today, we talked to police officers, veteran, street cops, who were talking about the disintegration of the large, big gangs in Chicago into these small factions. We're also hearing about Market Park, a neighborhood that you didn't expect it, and that's all cracking up now into these little gangs, block by block, ready to cap each other right now. What do you say about the disintegration into these 600 so odd factions when we used to have 5 or 6?
Yeah, what happens with this faction, it makes it harder because there used to be a time you can go talk to one leader, so now you have to talk to about 50 to 200 or 300 different leaders of these different factions in order to achieve, work on the peace process. It just makes the work a little harder. And then in order to stop killings on the front end, I want to make this clear. You have to know who got into an argument yesterday. You have to know who owes somebody some money. You have to know who might have a bounty on their head. And you have to know all these type of factors in order to really get in there. So you have to have the right trained people on them streets all the time. And with the different factions, everybody wants to be a tough guy. And people give in to peer pressure, poor impulse control. Just like the shooting that took place in Chicago State, you had 50 police out there and you had about 60 security guards from Chicago State. That was a shooting that should have been prevented because you had so much security up there. So I'm sure that CPD are going to do the best they can to make sure that never happens again. But, you never know when it's going to happen because violence spreads just like a infectious disease, believe it or not. That's how it spreads.
Teal, let me ask you this. You talk about all these different groups coming together to help solve this problem, not just police and not just agencies like yourselves. Well, what about at home with the families and the parents? We talk a lot about this, communities coming together, taking back their streets. A lot of these kids are in homes where they don't have any parental guidance.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a direct answer for you. I'm encouraging parents to challenge their sons and daughters because most of these guys that shoot people out there, they live somewhere. And we have to do more work in the area of, I have a friend named Denny Lee. He told me once a person has to, look beyond their dinner table for a role model, they might find themselves already lost a little bit.
Exactly.
So it starts at home for sure. the girlfriends, the wives, the mothers, the grandparents, the uncles have to challenge their relatives out there that are involved in a violent lifestyle, for sure.
What are you hearing about the case of that young girl, the drum majorette who was killed the other day, that's caused so much problems for Rahm Emanuel?
Yeah, Hadia Pendleton.
What gangs were shooting at what gangs?
Well, it's hard to know. Right now, the investigation's still ongoing. That appears to me by somebody shooting into a crowd. There used to be a time in the past when you had gang recruitment, where they would try to recruit a young guy and tell him to commit a crime, a heinous crime, to show his loyalty. To just shoot into a crowd like that at the spur of the moment, that appears to be, like, to me, it seemed like some gang recruitment process, but you never know. It could have been some shooting in there. The guy may have seen some guys he wanted to shoot at. That's a bus stop.
So where do you see?
Yes, go ahead.
Go on. I'm sorry, Mr. Hardman. Go on.
No, I'm saying the mayor should be really mad about that one there. That young lady, it's unnecessary. Senseless acts of violence is occurring in Chicago, but we have to do more in the area, bringing these young guys together as well. Ceasefire worked with 1,173 high-risk youth in the year 2012, and we actually got 35% of them guys employed, 30% we re-enrolled them back in school, and the remaining percentage of individuals, we're just spending quality time with them, helping them change their behavior. But that shooting, that was just another senseless shooting, let's put it like that, and there's no real excuse for it. It's a loss of life. It's a tragedy just the same way what happened in Newtown. Every time somebody's shot and killed, it hurts all of us.
Mr. Hardman, Theo Hardman with the Violence Initiative, the Ceasefire Illinois, and you and I are going to sit down and talk for my column later on. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time. This is John.
Thanks so much. And good to hear from you too, Lauren.
Thank you.
You too.
This is Lauren Cohn, John Kass, 89 WLS. We'll have more after this, after the break. Yes, and how about let's figure out where the cops are going, because what you have is politics at play, too. Mm-hmm. We're talking with Lauren Cohn's with me. My name's John Kass. That was Superintendent Gary McCarthy. You can tell the New York accent, but he's committed. We're at 89 WLS. We just interviewed Theo Hardman from the Ceasefire Initiative, where they work with gangs and try to get out front. Lauren, you want to take some calls?
Yeah, let's take Mary from the Northwest. Mary.
Okay, Mary, you're on.
Hi, how are you?
Tell us, Mary. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I think that the thing that bothers me the most about all of these discussions is that nobody really wants to be honest and out front. Having been in education and in some hard-hit areas, I've seen how this has worked at work. I'll never forget the young man who was born and bred into a major gang community. His father was a gang leader. His brother was a gang leader. He was a young man who sat down with me one day and said, I will never get out. You don't understand. I can't. This is my life. So in some communities, in some homes, children are raised to be teachers and lawyers and doctors and mechanics. And in other homes, children are raised to be, this is their line of work. And they're protecting. So how do you change a child to say, this is not the way I want to be raised?
You know, I can't answer that, okay?
Right, and nobody can answer it until somebody starts calling it what it is.
Well,
in the meantime, children are... Go ahead.
Hardiman said, you know, if you have to look beyond your dinner table for a role model, the battle's almost lost.
Well, and that's what we were just talking about, right? The whole fact that there really a dinner table at all anymore in these families.
Mary, you bring up a very good point, because some kids, I guess, are raised to be bangers, right? Thank you very much for your call, Barry. We're going to Joe in the truck. Joe, you're on with Lauren Cohn and John Kass, WLS.
Hey, Lauren. Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I hear a lot of, I just want to say, you got to get to the root cause. And what is the root cause of the situation in Chicago? It's about 50 or 60 years of liberalism, where they took a voting class of people and said, you know, you don't have to work, we'll protect you. They built a wall around them and said, don't look over that wall. There's racism out there. We'll just continue to give you more money, more entitlements. In the 80s, came crack. So you had crack on the streets. People came crack mothers and crack fathers. they had crack babies. In the 90s came meth and crack and heroin and everything else. And this is just a result. It's an ancillary result of the root cause, which is liberalism. I'll offer you two solutions, and they're real simple. Get back to conservatism, rule of law. You know, you can't have capital punishment in Illinois, I understand that, but adopt Florida's policy, 10, 20, and 30 for gun violence, mandatory. And just give people a purpose to wake up. Stop giving them a reason to gangbang.
I'd suggest that and I want to hear what Lauren has to say, but I'd suggest that when you make government the dad, as they did in the Great Society programs, and we're trying to revisit that again with Obama, where we're going to make government the daddy, what happens is that you don't need a daddy. And you know what? You cannot raise boys or girls in this country or this world without a dad. It is very hard. I'm or a mom, right? But I mean, you need two people pulling together as hard as they can, fighting everything off, right?
Yeah, you need the people in these communities, and it's not just the parents. I mean, a lot of these, you go into a lot of these communities, and these young kids are living with grandparents. And there just needs to be something that starts when they're younger that points them in the right direction. There's a lot of these programs. I was listening to Father Flager yesterday. They're talking about these programs that they're designed and asking community leaders to come together to get more of these kids off the streets and into these programs so they have something else to do, that there is some hope for them.
Yeah, Father Flager is an interesting person. But I want to thank the caller, Joe in the truck. He was saying he was going to give up on Chicago. He hadn't.
Don't give up on Chicago.
And you know what else I want to thank? I want to thank the WLS News people for putting these clips together for us. This is John Kass, Lauren Cohn, back with more of your calls after this on 89 WLS.
Join us today at 5 for the WLS Sports pregame show.
Bro, I can't believe it. Anthony Adams, the former Bear, joining us in studio.
Plus, the top 5 at 5. You'll win.
89 WLS, John Kass, Lauren Cohn. We're talking about violence in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel and Gary McCarthy are moving police around. The police unions say there's not enough cops, and we've got somebody who knows from the ground floor, just as Theo Hardiman knew, dealing with the gangs earlier on in the segment. Now we've got Sam on the line. Sam, you're a lawyer, correct?
We've talked to each other many times.
Yes, Sam.
Actually, I've been a criminal defense lawyer from 1989 to today.
So tell us.
I'm about to tell you something that many people will think is silly. It's pathetic and it's kind of stupid. But this is.
You got to get to it because we're
okay. Self-preservation. You've got to use self-preservation. Every single one of these guys has innately self-preservation. John, if you shoot somebody with a gun and kill them, what's the bottom line sentence right now? Do you know?
Tell me.
Well, exactly, John. That's the question. Nobody knows. It starts at 45 years. That's the minimum, 100% time. I've been saying to anybody who would listen, a document, a one-page document called the list should be created. It says the list, free life or caged life. It has on there, it's a sheet. It has on there crimes, shootings, armed robbery. You know what an armed robbery carries right now with a gun? 21-year minimum. A list is created. Every single street stop, every single traffic stop, anyone who goes into the jail and is released from the jail should be given the list.
Well, we're going to put together that list when you call me later. Right now, John Kass, Lauren Cohn, 89 WLS. Thanks, Sam. More after this.
When you want Chicago's classic hits, turn to 94.7 WLS. For traffic and weather info, tune in to 890 AM WLS for traffic and weather first on the fives when you need it most.
When you see news happening, call the 89 WLS News Tip Hotline. Help make 89 WLS the most plugged-in news department in Chicago. See it, say it, the WLS News Tip Hotline, 312-236-0507. Lauren, as we drove in this morning, we heard about the terrible murder on this right on the ramp of the Stevenson. And right now, police and reporters are scrambling to find out more out about that. But 5 years ago, there was people were waking up to see another terrible crime. Tell us about it.
Yeah, terrible crime. This was February 2nd, 2008. People remember the Lane Bryant in Tinley Park. A gunman posing as a delivery man goes into the store, forces Rhoda McFarland, who was the store manager at the time, and other women in the store into the back where he bounds them with duct tape. Rhoda McFarland, 4 other women were killed, 1 was injured, and they never caught the guy.
Joining us right now is the commander of the Tinley Park Police Department, Pat McCain, who's asking for your help if you have any information on this case. Commander McCain, are you there?
I am.
Tell us what is going on now with the investigation has taken you all the way to London in these last 5 years. What do we know, and what can we do to help you?
Well, right now, we know quite a bit. Unfortunately, I can't go into the specifics, but we know quite a bit about the crime, and we have forensics, and I can't obviously go into detail.
Of course.
What we're looking for is, we feel there's somebody out there who knows about this, and we're looking for their cooperation. You know, anonymity will be granted, obviously, but there's somebody out there who knows who this is, and if they come forward, we'd like to talk to them.
Now, you have a Lane Bryant tip line at 708-444-5394, correct?
That's correct. Or you can go online at lanebryant.tipline@tinleypark.org.
You have a sketch and a reward out as well?
We do.
What's the reward at?
The reward is currently at $100,000 for the arrest of the offender.
So what has been reported, Commander, is that the killer went in the store and spent a great deal of time there with them.
That's correct.
And what does that tell us about the personality?
Well, you know, and it's one of the things people keep asking, what was the motive? And there really isn't a clear-cut motive in this case. And we haven't focused in on any one thing for that reason, because every time we start going down a road, it takes a twist or a turn. So we've kind of left a broad focus because we don't want to go one way and then find out. Not that we're not looking. We've had, to date, over 6,689 tips. Each one has been followed up, sometimes multiple times. So we don't focus in on one area. We just want to keep our focus on the case as a whole.
Was there any tips or evidence to show that this individual knew the woman? And I know that one of the women that was injured survived. Has she been able to be helpful in this?
She has been helpful in this, and as to whether or not he know, that would be speculating at this time. And if I did know, I couldn't release it anyway for you. I'm sorry.
What has been the community's response over the past 5 years, Commander McCain?
Well, I'll tell you, we've had nothing but cooperation from the community, the village officials, the mayor, everybody. Every time we've gone to them, as you said, we've gone as far away as London. We've been all over the United States following up leads and tips, and they've been very good to us. To the point that I believe we spent over $1.8 million funding this project, and we're still ongoing. We currently have 3 people working on this full-time every day.
Well, and I understand that the family's members are all going to be paying homage. They go out there every year to the site because they are trying to be as helpful as they can, too, obviously wanting justice.
That's correct. Yeah, I don't know any specifics about what time or where they're going to meet or whatever, but we stay in close contact with them. Anytime we get something that they feel they should know, we talk to them. Obviously, they also want to try and put this as much behind them as they can and move on with their lives, and we try to respect that. But the families have been great, and I know they're as frustrated as we are.
Do we believe he's still in our area?
Pardon me?
Do we believe he's still in our area?
I don't know that. Again, that would be tough to speculate. I don't think he's right next door because this has taken us all over. It would be hard to say. I don't want to say no. Is it possible? Obviously, absolutely.
But there is going to be a memorial this weekend, correct?
Nothing organized that we know of, but yes, the family does stop by, especially on the anniversary. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were out there.
Commander, one thing that you've obviously been hit with, besides the enormity of your task, is the number of tips that come in. And do you ever get worried that you get so much information? Did we miss something at the beginning? Did someone send us, a description or a clue that we, just with all the stuff flooding in at the beginning of these things?
Well, what we do is we periodically re-review tips, and we've done that all along. Sometimes we do it just as a matter of course, and other times we've had subjects that have been brought to our attention several times. I mean, all the other police agencies involved in this, the state police, the Major Crimes Task Force, Chicago Police, Cook County have all helped us. The FBI, there's national, NASA helped us with some things, Secret Service, everybody has helped us. And if somebody comes to us with somebody we've already looked at, we reopen it and start from scratch again because we don't want to miss anything. We don't rule out anything.
You had said that somebody out there still knows something, so somebody in that community needs to come forward.
That's correct. We feel like most people, somebody looking at the sketch either knows who this is, somebody has helped him out with his hair, heard him talking. We believe there's somebody out there, and for what other reasons, they're afraid, they don't want to tell on a friend, whatever it is, we want them to come forward, we'll work with them, and we'll make it good for everybody involved.
Now, Commander Pat McCain from the Tinley Park Police Department, the tip email again is?
The tip email is lanebryant.tipline@tinleypark.org.
And the tip hotline, 708-444-5394.
It is.
They're looking for the information to the killer who killed 5 women at Lane Bryant in Tinley Park 5 years ago. Thank you very much, Commander. Good luck with your search.
Commander.
And thank you for your time for your listeners.
This is John Kass and Lauren Cohn, back after this.